Fluffy. Mchan, let's take it away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fastest for Fall Fest 2023. My name is mchan338, and would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Idlor.
Yeah, and hi, I'm Lord Fluffy. I ran Final Fantasy XIV All Dungeons earlier in the event.
Welcome back. All right, so I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so this is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the third Zelda game in the Zelda series, and the only game on the Super Nintendo, and the category I'm running is 100%. And so in 100%, you have to get all the heart pieces, all the heart containers, I have to get all the items, I have to upgrade everything. I also have to beat all the dungeons. The maps and compasses are optional. The Pawn of Happiness that increases your bomb and arrow capacity is also optional. And then another interesting thing about this category is that some items have multiple variations of tiers for their upgrades. And if I'm able to get the highest tier right away, then I'm allowed to skip any lower variation tier of that particular item. The first example of that is right away in this dungeon coming up, which is Hyrule Castle. So, right off the bat, it's kind of hard to notice when you're just watching people do runs, and that is that anytime I'm facing left or up, I am mashing the D-pad, and that is a technique that we call pumping. So Link's movement alternates between 1-2 pixels per frame, and when you face left or up, then Link's starts off with the 2-pixel animation. And so what I'm doing is I'm mashing diagonal in order to reset Link's 2-pixel animation for every time I'm pumping.
Yeah, and that sort of pumping motion, it's not a whole lot every single time that you do it, but because there's so many of them throughout the run, that starts to add up slowly but surely over the course of the run. So it's one of those small time saves that the more and more you do it, the more and more you save over time. So definitely still important to have that. The higher skill level you get at Link to the Past runs, the more important that becomes overall.
Yeah, it saves about a few seconds over the course of the run. So, what's that?
I was gonna say, yeah, you eventually just add up a lot of frames that totals up a little bit of time save, and every second matters.
Exactly. So coming up is going to be the first item, normally would be the first item, which is the boomerang, but I'm actually going to be skipping it. And that is because later on, we will be getting its upgraded boomerang, the red boomerang, later on. So just, it seems kind of weird, considering it's 100% and we have to get all the items, but trust me, this ends up saving quite a bit of time later.
And we're just going to take a quick moment to jump in here with some exciting news. Y'all want some more speedrunning? Well, we're going to get some more speedrunning. We have unlocked Bomb Rush Cyberfunk as our final incentive game of the marathon. Congratulations. This was thanks to donations by Jacqueline in the amount of $40. No comment. We also have a donation from Rough Moo. I hope I got the right number of O's there. Saying, hi, for the homies, trans lifeline for the win. Hi, Ferric. And that's a donation of $42. With our final donation being from Veriphage in an amount of $10. Thank you so much for those 3 donations. We have unlocked Bomb Rush Cyberfunk by the impressive Helix 13.
Thank you very much for your donations. This is a very good, wonderful cause. Please keep your donations going. So we just rescued Zelda, and now we have to take her out of the castle and into the sanctuary. So this will be our first instance, a little bit of RNG coming up as we go into the basement of the sewer section of the castle, and that is that enemies will start off in the same position every time, but where they move is random. So a lot of the optimizations in throughout this game is how well can you read and react to enemy patterns throughout every room in the game.
Yeah, there is going to be like an ideal line through each room, but you're not always going to be able to take that because of the RNG. So having that adaptation skill to be able to say, okay, I got to move slightly to the left here to dodge this and stop yourself from getting knocked back by running into an enemy is super important.
Yeah, in particular, we do not want to lose Key Rat in the dark. We want Key Rat to be nice and give us the key real fast.
Yep. And it's a little bit harder to go through this section without the boomerang. There are some parts in the early game where not having the boomerang loses time, but it doesn't cause too many problems.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, you can throw the boomerang at enemies and then run through them in some cases where their RNG might be in your way. Correct?
Yes. And then the boomerang can also just collect items for you, which in this case I do not have that luxury.
All right, so right now we're traveling.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just so you're aware, now that we've unlocked the bonus game of Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, we do have a stretch goal, and the incentive says use custom graffiti. I wonder what that could be. Hey guys, let's see if we can finish this out strong and finish up this Bomb Rush Cyberpunk with the stretch goal of using custom graffiti.
Yes. So right there, I got the good RNG for that key rat. The key rat can actually go up into the top left of the room, and that's not what you want to see.
Yeah, that's a really good RNG. Love to see it.
So in this room right here, if you hold right, then you actually skip a text trigger, which saves about a second. Sometimes the rats in this room can actually hit you into the text trigger anyway, but we didn't see that happen.
All right.
So we're out of Harrow Castle, and in that chest right there is the only free heart container we get in the game. Every other heart container we have to work for them. In the any percent no major glitches run, most people actually pick it up because it loses about a few seconds. This is a very hard game, and later on in the game you're going to be encountering hard-hitting enemies, and so having the one extra heart could potentially make a big difference in increasing your consistency throughout the game. But here at 100%, we do have to pick it up. Now we're going to go straight to East Palace. And there isn't really like a whole lot that goes on our way to East Palace, so this would be a good time to talk about that every category is split up into 3 subcategories. There's unrestricted, restricted, and no major glitches. And the variation that I'm running is the no major glitches variation, where in no major glitches, we don't use any like major like out of bounds or like huge skips that skip a significant part of the game. So you get to see a more traditional route of what Link to the Past is like if you've played the game, but faster. Also, in no major glitches, the no major glitches rule set does not allow the use of save and quit. So when you save and quit, you spawn at a different part of the map, which does save time in overworld traveling. But this is kind of a very like legacy rule set since the history of Link to the Past speedruns.
Yeah, and it is also worth noting that that legacy thing is from old style. My train of thought is derailed here. The point I was going to make here is that sort of rule set is just the par for the course for sort of older speedruns, but the fact that there are 3 different categories means that if you love to just use all the glitches in the world, or if you don't think you should be using any super like game-breaking glitches, there's a category for you in Link to the Past for basically everybody, all across the board.
And Link to the Past, if you've not seen any of the glitches for it, trust us when we say it is a super broken game. You can do a lot with this game.
Yep. So in this room right here, normally there's 4 Stalfos, but if you move in a specific way, then only 2 of them will spawn. And I know exactly where they're at, so you can actually hit them before they even appear on screen.
I love watching that.
That's great.
Ghost.
Alright, so in this room, I'm actually going to pick up some extra arrows. You don't need these arrows, but in the case that I get lucky towards the end of the dungeon, then these extra arrows will be worth it.
Yeah, and routing in arrows is not necessarily so much of you have a specific route of arrows where you have 25 for this section and that's it. You generally like to have as many as you feel comfortable with throughout the routing. So sometimes if you've had good luck and didn't need to use as many arrows throughout the run, you can go ahead and miss a couple of drops here and there if you're comfortable with it.
Yep. So coming up is our first sequence break of the game. And normally in this upcoming room, you're supposed to kill all the enemies. But here, I'm going to do a bit of a damage boost in order to... Nice! So by using the iframes from taking damage, then I can actually grab that pot without having to kill any of the enemies to get the anti-fairies to move out of the way of that switch.
Yeah, that was really ideal. You get a bump off of the right popo and just get right on top of the this pot and get the button hit in like 2 hits. It's really good.
Yeah. So we got the item, the dungeon, the bow, and we're going to be using arrows quite a lot throughout the game.
Yeah, there's a few bosses in the game where arrows are actually more efficient to kill than just using your regular sword versus them, which includes the boss of this dungeon as well. So, a very important item that we will be using the majority of the run to great effect.
And if we have a moment to take a couple donations here, we've got a $1 donation from Firebird Lover saying $1 in the swear jar, then Delclus understands why. And one more donation coming from Cycle Volpes in the amount of $10. Hot take. Watch out. Link's Awakening is better than A Link to the Past. I don't know if I believe with that hot take. We would have to get some opinions on that. So that is getting us closer to our use of custom graffiti, which is for the bonus game Bomb Rush Cyberpunk that we have following this one.
Okay, so right there, I fought Armos Knights in a very specific way, to where the last Armos Knight will turn red and regain all of its health back. But I did that fight in specifically in a way where I can kill the last Armos before he turns red and gains all of his health back.
Yeah, very excellently done so far.
Yeah, so now that we've completed Eastern Palace, getting the pendant of the dungeon, we're going to go to Sahasra's little cave over here in order to get another really good item called the Pegasus Boots. The Pegasus Boots allows you to dash, which significantly speeds up your movement, so the pacing of the game will tremendously pick up from here. There's also a trick that you can do with the Pegasus Boots that's exclusive to the version I'm playing, which is Japanese 1.0. And you'll see that as soon as I grab some of these items right here, which are some rupees, which I need for later, as well as some bombs in order to perform some tricks called the bomb jump, which we'll go over later. So right here, if I... Okay, nice. So right there, if I press A right at the one frame after I release my spin attack, then Link gets put into a state called super speed. And when you come out of manual stairs, then Link will just move really fast. The same speed as dashing speed. And that is a trick specific to Japanese 1.0. Which then we'll talk about the version I'm playing on. So I am playing on Japanese, which saves time in text. So you save about a minute. But then there's also the 1.0 version, where in Japanese 1.0, some tricks are only exclusive to Japanese 1.0. So that's another minute save for playing on this very specific version.
Yeah, and the main reason why the text is faster is because the characters for the kanji that is on the screen is simply like... Whereas, like, a single character in kanji could equal like 3 letters, for example, in the normal alphabet for, the Roman alphabet that we're more used to. So that's the main reason why text scrolls so much faster in the Japanese versions of games.
Yep. And even without Japanese 1.0, this route that I'm doing is still possible. Even on, like, let's say an English version, you'll just be missing out on some of the few tricks that I'm doing. And like I said, since it only saves up a minute, you don't lose a whole lot of time. So we got the Book of Medora, which is needed in order to enter our next dungeon, which is Desert Palace. Desert Palace is pretty much like a dungeon that really introduces how good dashing is. So with dashing, general rule of thumb with dashing is, as you can see, there's whenever I'm dashing, there's a bit of a startup animation. So it's not worth dashing all the time. So one of the general rules of thumb is if your destination is about 4.5 tiles or more, then it's worth dashing. For anything less, for like shorter distances, or if you're about to get hit, then it's worth just walking.
Yeah, a similar analogy would be Ocarina of Time and backwalking, where if you can get to a location in 4 or 5 rolls, it's better to do that. But if it's 4 or 5 roll or more than 4 or 5 rolls, then backwalking straight to your location would be the better idea. So it's very similar to that.
Yep. All right, so this would be a good time for any donations or announcements.
Fantastic. We do have a donation from Adalor. That name looks familiar. $50.
Who's that?
Hello from the commentary couch. Did I hear about a stretch goal incentive? Let's get that met because you know they have some good custom graffiti in store for us. Also, Link's Awakening is indeed the best Zelda. And that's going to bring us that much closer to our custom graffiti stretch incentive for Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. We're about $700 away. I think if we all chip in, we can probably get there.
Yeah, get those donations in chat. You can get there. I believe in you.
So we're approaching the item of the dungeon, which is the Power Glove, which allows us to pick up the white rocks that you see in the overworld. So it opens up the overworld quite a bit now. You do need the Power Glove in order to enter the second part of Desert Palace. This is one of the more unique dungeons, and that there's multiple parts to this dungeon. So we're about to exit the first part and head into the second part.
Yeah. So as you can see, all of these dashings that's being done, you save so much time in this dungeon from optimal dashing because there's so many long corridors that you can use to take advantage of just simply how fast the Pegasus boots make you. And even when you come outside here, to pick up this extra heart piece that we just got, there's that long corridor, and you can ride along the walls to extend it just a little bit further with good positioning. So mchan is doing extremely well right now with these dashes.
Yeah. So right there is what's called a key dash. If your dash animation, if you dash on your 4th pixel of your dash animation, then you can just dash right through the key doors. There are a lot of key dashes that we do have like visual cues to where you don't have to eyeball the 4th pixel in order to dash right through a key door.
Yeah, key dash is like a lot of stuff is on a grid basically, and you can often nudge up against an object that's on that grid, like that torch below that key door there in the previous room. And that just sets you on the exact right pixel you need. And a lot of key dashes also you can get by just literally dashing from the entrance to the room. Almost every door like lines up on that grid, and you just get free key dashes all over the place.
All right, you want to talk about land molas?
Oh, Landmo, what a fight! NMG Landmo, it's probably the thing I like least about NMG. It takes what, 4 arrows on each of these?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so this boss is unfortunately quite heavy on the RNG because where they come out and what direction they go when they come out of the ground is not consistent at all. And on top of that, their hitboxes that makes them weak is only the head. It's pretty much only the head, so it's very easy to time it off by maybe a couple of frames and absolutely miss the hitbox of the head from where you're at. But all things considered, despite the RNG early in that fight, brought it back very well at the end there.
It's not a terrible Lambo overall. Yeah, Bow Lambo is just it can get worse. Chaos. You gotta just mash on the arrows and hope you get good luck on them. The game gives you a tool to fight Lambo easier. It's the ice rod, but it's way out of the way, and it does not save time to go get it early on.
Yeah. And if you're really good, then you can do that boss within 2 cycles. And by 2 cycles, I mean like he comes out of the ground 2 times. But it's really hard to do, and it's also luck-based because Landmolas can also do what's known as short hop, which means that you have less time to get arrows in.
Yeah, and every time you get that short hop, it is just a very unfortunate feeling because if they're like 1 arrow away or even 1 sword slash away and you just can't get that last hit in because they just stayed up a little bit too they just didn't stay up long enough, it is very unfortunate, very very bad feeling.
Yeah, one of the hardest fights to do early on. All right, so now we're going to do another Japanese 1.0 exclusive trick. It is called fake flippers. So right now we don't have flippers, so we can't swim. However, I'm going to do a bit of a trick where if I screen transition on the very last pixel before a screen transition, then the game allows me to swim. So I can just swim into that whirlpool, and I am much closer to where I need to go. The trade-off, though, is it's a little bit risky because if you get hit, then the game doesn't really know where to put you, and it just soft locks you. You can get out of it by saving and quitting, which since No Major Glitches does not allow you to use a save and quit, it pretty much invalidates the run. But we got out of it, no soft locks, so the run continues.
Did you mention spin speed yet?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
yeah. So while we're going to go to this dark cave, we're gonna find an old man, and we gotta lead him out. We can't dash. We can't dash while we're with him. So we just gotta walk all the way out. Now the only use of L and R in this game is to clear the very last text box. And that's good, so that way, like, if you're using the buttons to advance your text, then you could accidentally, like, use an item that you're not meant to use an item. So one of the challenges that many runners do is memorize how many sets of dialogue there are for any time there's an instance of dialogue in the game.
All right, so coming up later on in this cave. The old man is just giving us a mirror. This will be important for later. Coming up in this cave is going to be, I believe this is coming up to a bomb damage boost to get over a gap, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So ideally we get this. If we don't get it, we have to take a slightly, like, more out of the way, more unfortunate path, but still not the end of the world if we don't get it first try. But ideally, what's going to happen is we're going to set up on a specifics pixel that is going to allow us to get over a gap and get us out of this cave in a higher place than we would normally be able to.
Yeah, so let's see how this goes. Nice.
Excellent. Very well done.
So some people will also like to do something else called hovering, where where the game doesn't recognize that you're over a pit if you're over a pit for about a frame, and so some people will abuse that mechanic and actually hover across the pit to the heart piece instead. But it's very hard. Not very many people do it.
It's extremely difficult because you have to hold your A button for less than 30 frames, release it, and then press it on the next frame. It is super difficult.
All right, so the Tower of Hera. This is there's not much to say until we get to the third part. After we get the big key. So any more donations or announcements is good for a little bit.
Absolutely, really enjoying this run so far. I've played this game casually, and you make it look easy. Did you know that the Fastest Furs Fall Fest 2023 is our 10th charity marathon as a speedrunning group? Time really does fly, just like our runners. If you want to catch up on our past events, the Team Fastest Furs YouTube page contains a playlist from each marathon, and videos from this marathon will be added shortly after the event has concluded. Get subscribed now by using the command !YouTube in chat and following the link. And did want to still let you know that we have that incentive open for custom graffiti and Bomb Rush Cyber Funk. You know, rumor has it that custom graffiti is actually related to the Fastest Furs, so really excited to see that. Definitely want to see what people have in store for us, and that stretch incentive does have to be met before the start of the run, so we are on a bit of a clock here. Sitting at $12,153. I think a few donations would go a long way.
We got the big case. Now we're going to climb up to the top of the dungeon. Pretty shortly, there is going to be another sequence break. So normally, in order to get the item of the dungeon, which is the Moon Pearl, we got to go up to the very top floor and then fall down from a pit. However, I'm going to do something else, and that is a bomb jump, another bomb jump. We saw a bomb jump when I got that heart piece earlier. So now we're going to see another one.
And northward bomb jumps can be a little more tricky too because of how it's hard. It can be harder to gauge exactly where you're against the pit, but there are strategies to do that. Like you can do what we call ledge spins.
Nice.
Very well done there.
Yep,
Getting that
good
in the
job.
first attempt. No issues whatsoever.
I love that bonk strat for that bomb jump too. It's a really nice setup. It looks cool.
Yep. All right, so coming up is everybody's favorite boss, which is Moldorm. Let's see how this goes.
Favorite, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
All right, you
boss
want
is
to talk
awful.
about Moldorm?
I'll say my bit is that this boss is awful because if you fall down, the whole thing resets. I hate it. Why did they design it like that?
Classic game design. Yeah. What you really don't want to do is fall in the center hole because that will drop you 2 floors and it's an extra long amount of time to get back up.
Ultimately, it's incredibly hard of a boss fight. You just need to make sure. Oop, well, I mean, that was close. But ultimately, you do just have to make sure that you're getting those spin attacks or dash
Dude.
into the tail. But, just completely random pattern. You can't ever tell where it's going to go, and you can't always guarantee get that hit. But there we go. We finally got it. A couple close calls there, but we have managed to pull it out. And we're okay. The fight didn't reset, and that's what matters.
That was such a long enrage phase. I'm just like, oh no, please no.
I've never seen that last phase go that long before.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, what's important is that you don't fall off. So
one of the tricks with fighting Moldorm also is if you're holding your sword away from the ledge and pushing away from the ledge, you can actually keep yourself from falling. It's a really useful trick too.
Man, I wish I knew that when I was 10 years old playing this game for the first time.
Yeah, not a lot of people know that until they start speedrunning this game. All right, so we're out of now that that's over. We got all 3 pendants, so now we're going to go get the Master Sword and take on the Wizard Aghanim, who's taken over Hyrule. So I guess this is a really short adventure already.
Yeah, all we have to do is take out Aghanim, and then it's just GG, and then you just got to collect the rest of the items. I mean,
we're going to be way underestimated.
Destroying the estimate.
Yeah, I mean, we're like about an hour behind. We'll be right back on track by the end of this. Absolutely no worries. mchan destroying this run right now. All right.
Yeah.
So right now we're going through this Lost Woods-like area. We're going to get the Master Sword, which we needed the 3 pendants to be able to pull out, and we need the Master Sword in order to be able to reach Aghanim, because there is a electricity barrier in the way of the central tower of Hyrule Castle that we can only open via the use of the Master Sword. So this is an unfortunate. Not unfortunately, we have to collect it anyway because 100%, but it is a required item to progress through the game in this category.
It'd be cool if you had some weird item like a cape that turns you invisible to go through the barrier, but we need the sword instead.
All right, so one thing to note about the Master Sword is that when you're at full HP with the Master Sword and you swing it, you'll actually shoot a little energy beam that's in like a circle that comes out of the sword when you slash it. This can be used to hit things like switches from a distance. It can also be used to deal damage to enemies. However, the damage is reduced. It doesn't deal the same damage as actually hitting them with the sword. So it does have its usage, and it is important to make good use of it when you can for things like switches and whatnot. However, you do have to be at a full HP to use it, so it does become doubly important that you're routing to make sure you're avoiding enemies in places where you want to take advantage of that beam for its utility to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, so we're going to go back to Hyrule Castle. Zelda's been kidnapped again. She gets kidnapped twice in this game. And we're going to go to what people like to call Aghanim's Tower, but officially it's called Castle Dungeon. And it's a pretty technical part of the dungeon, where it's just essentially a gauntlet of enemies to fight through to get through several rooms. So we're gonna use the Master to slash that barrier. And the first room here, there's a few different strategies that you can do. I'm going to do what's called Serving Up Din Din, where I just lure these 2 guys over and then release my spin attack.
Yeah, because this upgrades the sword damage to tempered damage, and 2 tempered slashes will kill these ball and chain guards, which is weird also. Like, Light world damage with the Master Sword is a little bit weird. Like these Ball and Chain Guards do not take any additional damage from Master Sword slashes compared to Fighter Sword, so you want to upgrade it to Tempered Slash.
Yeah, so there's going to be a wide variety of different upgrades we'll be getting throughout the run, and we will be able to increase the damage of the Master Sword as one of the upgrades mentioned. We also be getting armor upgrades as well throughout the course of the run. And the armor upgrades become important because, as earlier mentioned in the run, health. This game is a very difficult game. Enemies, especially in the late game, will start shredding you. If you go into like some of the late game bosses without having any armor upgrades whatsoever, you can be at all 20 hearts and you will still be 4-shot by the bosses in some cases. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So every heart counts, and every upgrade that we can get at the optimal time for those later game dungeons, that matters a lot as well. We are still going to be progressing here, trying to get up to the end of this dungeon, so we can fight Aghanim. At which point, it's all about collecting the dungeon because we'll be done with the run then. Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, so so we are actually approaching Aghanim. So I want you guys to get your guesses in chat how many blue balls I'm going to be getting in this fight. The way the Aghanim fight works is he goes through a cycle of 5 attacks. The first attack is a guaranteed energy shot. The attacks 2 through 4 is either an energy shot or what's an attack that we call a blue ball. And it's 50-50 between both of them. And then the 5th attack is a lightning attack. And then the cycle repeats itself until the fight is over. It takes 6 energy shots to beat Aghanim. And assuming you don't miss any of the guaranteed Aghanim shots, the unluckiest that you can get is 15 blue balls.
And the average is 3. So you're probably going to see 3. It's extremely unlikely to get 15 because you have to lose 15 coin flips basically. But yeah.
Yeah, and only 2 runners have ever gotten 15 blue balls. That's how rare it is.
Was Ari one of them?
We got Scrivo and Andy.
Oh, and Andy got one of those? Oh, amazing. I love it.
Yeah. So we got 15s, we got 3s.
I'm gonna go
that's
with
1.
2. I'm gonna go with 2. I think that's it. Like it's gonna be the second one, and that's it. I think that's my guess.
That's 2.
My guess is already gone because for every coin flip you win, the maximum potential number of blue balls reduces by 4.
Oh, we missed the guaranteed energy shot.
Ooh, that is unfortunate.
I should be fine.
Yeah, if you're too close and you hit him, you get shocked, and the ball will go right through you.
All right, let's just say we got 3.
Hey.
Probably.
Let's hear it for the host who guessed 3 once you told us that was the average.
We'll average 3. Very dependable.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, that would have been 2. I would have beaten him on that second cycle, but oh well.
All right.
Fortunately, it's not like significant enough to impact your run, at least in this category.
Yeah, 2 or less is ideal because you get like only 2 cycles, but yeah, we'll take what we get.
Yeah. So now Aghanim warped us to another world called the Dark World. So the beginning of the game we were going through what's called the Light World. Now we're going to the Dark World, which is pretty much like an alternate version of the Light World. There's harder enemies, and then there's 8 more dungeons that we have to go through. We are going to start by going to the first dungeon known as Palace of Darkness or Dark Palace. And after we do Dark Palace, then the game starts to open up, and therefore we can do the dungeons in many different orders, which we take advantage of that by doing the dungeons in a different order. So we're first going to start by going into Dark Palace, since we have to do that first because the Dark World doesn't open up very much without the items of the first dungeon.
Yeah, the game has like a numerical recommended order that you do the dungeons in, or they want you to do, but you can definitely, after Palace of Darkness, just go straight to West Dark World and go right for the 4th dungeon, which is what most categories do.
Yeah. So in order to enter the first Dark World dungeon, we need 110 rupees. 10 rupees to get Kiki the monkey over here to follow us, and then the other 100 to actually open the dungeon. You want to try to go through this part without getting hit, which I've successfully done. Otherwise, you have to find Kiki again and pay an extra 10 rupees. So if you have like 110, then that could be kind of scary sometimes.
Thankfully, we have 10 rupees left over. We got entries of the dungeon, and we can keep on moving with no issues whatsoever.
Yep.
And this game, once you've done it a few hundred times, you kind of you get really used to how the enemies are going to behave. Like there's a little bit of RNG prediction, but for the most part, they're fairly consistent.
Yep.
And we want to say thank you to Leaf for a $10 donation towards that custom graffiti stretch goal. Comment, the world needs more furries. I like that comment.
So something we didn't talk about yet is that the mirror is really good because it allows, because when you use the mirror in a dungeon, you're taken back to the very beginning, which is useful for like saving backtracking. Otherwise, like without the mirror, I'd be doing a lot of backtracking, and it's very inefficient.
Yeah, the early parts of this dungeon has a lot of falling down, climbing back up, falling down, climbing back up, and the mirror just eliminates so much of that. It's fantastic for this dungeon.
Yep. So after getting this key, we're about to be on our way to another trick. It's another bomb jump. This one, in my opinion, is the hardest bomb jump. We call it hammer jump. So I'm going to be setting up. It is a double pixel perfect bomb jump where I need to set the bomb in a pixel perfect position as well as Link in a pixel perfect position in order to clip through a railing and skip having to get 2 extra keys in order to get to the item of the dungeon, the hammer. So let's see how this goes. Nice.
Excellent.
Well done. Very well
good.
done.
Yeah, so it's in... Go ahead.
Yeah, so what I was doing there with all those pausings is I was buffering my movement 1 to 2 pixels at a time in order to get to the right position. As the difficulty of that trick is that you're setting the trick up on a collapsing bridge.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're on a timer. And depending on how you look at the pixels, some runners may also use the borders of the menu as visual reference for where to line up against certain parts of the floor in the background. So yeah, there's a lot of ways of visual reference it, but yeah, pause buffering tends to be one of the common ways to see that done.
Yeah, and the collapsing bridge does also force you to reload the room in order to get the bridge back. So not getting it first try has a multitude of different reasons for why you lose time on that. Very smoothly done there with the arrows. Excellent job.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, and so we were able to refill our hearts, so we were at full HP, and it's good for this second half of the dungeon, as I can use the sword beams to hit switches across without having to like use my bow to physically hit the switches. So you save quite a bit of menuing in this last part of the dungeon.
Yeah, because otherwise you have to swap to bow, use it, swap back to hammer, swap to bow, swap back to hammer, and every menu loses a couple seconds every time you have to do it. So keeping that full HP important for hitting those switches for this part of the dungeon.
Oh boy! So these turtles move randomly, and as you can see, when you don't have a good room, we call this turtle party because like you just have a ride with these turtles if you get a good pattern.
Turtle party. You all had some good slang for this run. I between Din Din and Turtle Party, I really like it.
Yeah. There are so many like interesting, creative, funny names for all the different like tricks and tech and whatnot, and just funny stuff that doesn't actually save time, but it looks neat.
Yeah, it looks great, and everybody knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, King Helma, how are we doing?
Yeah, you want to talk about Helmasaur?
Helmasaur takes 17 hammer hits to the face to break the mask. You can alternately use bombs, and apparently a lot of people, when they first played this game, didn't know that the hammer breaks the mask, and you just use 5 bombs instead. Once the mask is off, you can attack the forehead gem. 8 Master Sword slashes, 4 spins, or 8 arrows will do the trick.
Yeah, dealt
Yeah.
and done with very quickly.
Yeah, and he has a few different attacks too. You saw that he can charge at you. He has the tail swipe attack, and then he also has fireballs, which surprisingly we didn't see. Which attack he does is random, so you have to react accordingly. You can get unlucky, and you can get in a position where you're at the bottom of the screen. Helmazor comes at you, charges a fireball as well as a tail swipe attack, and you just lose lots of health.
Yeah, this boss can be really rough. Like you hear like 8 hearts, green. You don't have armor in normal runs, but yes, Helmazor hates you for 2 at a time. This fight can go south real fast.
Yeah. So that's our first Dark World dungeon completed, and now that we completed the first Dark World dungeon, now the game starts to really open up. So again, we're going to be doing the Dark World dungeons out of order. So like we want to particularly go to the 4th Dark World dungeon as early as we can, and that's because the 4th Dark World dungeon has a really good item that tremendously speeds up a lot of the fighting. For now, though, this is actually the longest stretch of the run without seeing a dungeon for a while. So this is the point where we're going to be collecting quite a bit of items.
Yeah, once you have the hammer and the glove, there are several portals scattered all over the world that are now open, and most of them are blocked by these hammer pegs, which we'll be seeing a fair amount of in not too long. And then they're also like under a rock, so you need both the hammer and the glove to get through almost all those portals.
Yeah. So what you just saw me do there is called an item dash. So when you press the item and dash at the same frame, then you can use both of them at the same time, and that's another Japanese 1.0 exclusive trick.
Love how it looks with the hammer. It's very silly and very good.
Yeah, you can like dash through pegs, pots, and it saves a little bit of time. So we're gonna get the 300 rupees from that cave in order to rack up on some rupees, so that way we can play some mini games that are coming up. So coming up is the digging game. So I want everybody in chat to make your guesses on how many tries it's gonna take me to get a heart piece from the digging game.
I'm gonna say we're gonna first try.
First try. I like it.
I'm gonna go for 2 because I feel 2 is reasonable. I feel it's a reasonable guess.
I gotta go with 2 because that sounds like the average, and I'm gonna go with the averages again.
The game is extremely random.
Yeah.
Yeah. The absolute worst that I've seen it is 10 minutes worth of attempts trying to get the
Exactly.
Don't
trying
say
to
that.
get it.
So real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So real quick here, we're gonna do a bit of a cutscene skip. So I'm gonna warp in a pretty specific spot to where if I dig on the spot where I get the flute, then I can warp right back into the Dark World without having to watch this extra cutscene where the animals leave the screen. And so then that saves about a few seconds.
Is this the Dante of A Link to the Past? Yes.
Alright, so here we go, the digging game. So the way the digging game works is the first 25 holes that you dig up has a 0% chance at getting a heart piece. Every other hole after that is a 1 in a 32 chance at getting a heart piece. So
it's so mean because you can't get a lot more than 25 digs in that much time.
If you dig really well, then your maximum odds per attempt is about 1/3.
Yeah, so if you're not getting good luck with the getting the heart piece, you do still want to hopefully get good luck with the rupees so that you're not losing out on too many rupees going for these attempts multiple times.
Oh no, this mini game. So many holes.
So much digging.
So much
Okay,
digging.
so that's 1 attempt down. So now guess what? I have to leave the screen, come back, and try it again until I get the heart piece.
You leave just long enough for him to fill the holes back up and put all the rupees, everything everywhere, and he can try again.
Yes.
He's very good at it. He's very fast.
So as you dig, I did want to let you know that the Fastest First Fall Fest 2023 is raising money all weekend long for Trans Lifeline. In addition to their peer support hotline, Trans Lifeline also directly supports trans individuals in need through their microgrant program. The program provides direct financial assistance to those who need to correct names or gender markers on identifying legal documents, to receive gender-affirming hair removal treatment, or to receive basic necessities during and after incarceration. For more information, please visit www.translifeline.org/microglance. And did want to let you know that incentive for the Bomb Rush Cyberfunk custom graffiti is still open. We do have a ways to go. It's going to take about $700 to meet that stretch goal. And I do have some new information in on just what that custom graffiti might be. It's going to be at least 4 custom images, and one of them is going to get the run verified.
I wonder.
There it is. Third try. Let's go.
All right. Third try, not the absolute worst. There can be many worse attempts for the RNG on that. So third try for a marathon, we absolutely take that.
Technically, it could never give it. You could just get unlucky forever. But thankfully, that's not what happens today.
Yeah. So so my PB is 148.57, and the estimate is 2 hours. And that's a very generous estimate because you can spend a long time on digging game, and even when you get past digging game, it's not over, because in about a few minutes from now, we're about to approach another mini game called the chess game, which fortunately for that one, it's fast to retry, so you can afford to take many attempts on chess game, but you could still just spend a lot of time on the chess game. So if you actually look at the leaderboards of Link to the Past, you might notice that 100% doesn't really have very many runners, and that's because at a certain point, when you're grinding attempts of this category, it comes to a point where you're just hoping for good luck. It's not really something that not a lot of people like to grind for in this game.
Yeah, obviously it can be very demoralizing when you're on the best pace of your life. You know, you're like a minute ahead of your PB. You've been nailing everything, and then you get to the digging game and you lose 5 minutes just to pure RNG. It can be incredibly demoralizing. Especially as mentioned, 40 minutes into the run is a
painful. And it's a 2-hour run long. It's a 2-hour run as well. So yeah, you'd be if you're really grinding attempts, then 40 minutes. Don't get the good luck. Reset. Try again. Hope that you get lucky. 40 minutes later.
All right, so if you didn't know what we just did, playing the flute in front of that compass-like thingamabobber, it's a thing that lets you know what direction the wind is blowing, will actually unlock the fast travel system for this game, where playing the flute anywhere will summon a bird that can take you to one of multiple warp points, and that's going to help us speed things along while we're navigating through the light world.
Yep, and there's 8 different locations, and it's so useful for overall traveling.
Well, we got a couple of seconds here. I'm gonna take a host thing real quick. We have just a little bit under an hour and 10 minutes or so, I believe, to meet that incentive for custom graffiti. Could be correct, could be wrong on that, but that's about what I'm understanding here. So you have until then to get those donation ins, everybody. If you need incentive, you can tell me how wrong I am for my opinion that Link's Awakening is still good, but the worst 2D Zelda game. How do you feel?
Man.
Ooh, wow.
Wow.
Get your donations in and tell me how wrong I am.
As a Link to the Past, as a Link's Awakening speedrunner, I feel kind of hurt.
Ooh, I'm sorry. I've done this.
Alright, so we are approaching the chess game pretty soon. So again, get your guesses in chat as to how many tries it's going to take me to get the heart piece from the chess game. So it's for 30 rupees, you open up 2 chests at a time. And what you get from the chess game can either be bombs, arrows, rupees, and then a heart piece. To get the heart piece, it's about a 1/8 chance of getting a heart piece. Now, in the Japanese 1.0 version, there is a bit of a glitch with the chess game, and that is that you cannot get the heart piece on the first chest that you open. So you have a flat 1 out of 8 chance of getting a heart piece per attempt in the chess game.
Yeah, that's
Now-
I didn't know about that glitch actually.
Yeah. One of the only downside of Japanese 1.0.
All right, I'm gonna go with 5. That's my guess.
I'm
5.
gonna go 4. I like that number 4 is a single-digit number.
4, okay.
Yeah, I think 4 is good. I'll go with 4.
All right.
So we do have a couple donations rolling in here. I'll take a moment to read them. We've got Bursic donating $30 towards that custom
Easiest
graffiti
game of my
incentive.
life. Let's go.
Holy moly!
Whoa.
First try.
One and
Wait,
done.
how did that happen? Oh my gosh.
I'm so
Bursic-
good. No one is
Bursic
as good as
donating
me.
$30, $10 for every attempt made at the graveyard game. Let's get that BRC incentive met.
Holy moly! Shoutouts to RNG giving
Yeah,
us
gosh.
the lovely. There's the red boomerang, by the way. That's the reason we don't pick up the boomerang in Hyro Castle, because we can just get the red boomerang right there, which is the upgrade, and we can just not have to get the first boomerang at all. Because as mentioned earlier, all that matters is the highest tier upgrade of each thing in particular.
Yeah, if you
and normally that's a 300 rupee chest.
Yeah.
If you have the boomerang already.
if you get the blue boomerang in the castle and then you can throw it into the waterfall cave and upgrade it to the red, but yeah, that turns into a 300 rupee.
Yeah. And that process takes much longer than just getting the red boomerang there. All right, so now we're into Thieves Town, the 4th Dark World dungeon. Pretty easy dungeon. Now, unfortunately, looking at my rupee count, I do have to make up a few rupees. There's a 300 rupee chest I can get, but I do have to make up at least 20, or actually 30, actually. But it should be that bad. I know where I can get my rupees.
Yeah, we still have to pay King Zora at some point this run. He cost us a whopping 500 rupees, so we gotta save up for that.
Yeah. All right, so coming up is what's called the Heck Way. Trying to keep it friendly here. So let's see how this goes.
This hallway sucks. It's terrible.
Uh-oh.
Do you like?
All right.
Oh, we're fine.
Do you like a lot of enemies and a constantly moving in the other direction treadmill? I'm sure you do. 'Cause I don't.
Yeah, so there's a pixel perfect position that you can dash from, and you can dash straight through the room. But it is luck based because the enemies can get in your way anyway, and then you don't get the dash.
Yeah, thankfully we have powder now, so if I think it's really dicey, we need to heal, we can whip that out and transform an anti-fairy into a fairy. So.
And we have a few more donations to read. I've got Blaze donating $3 towards that custom graffiti incentive, $1 per digging attempt. Let's get Helix's Bomb Rush Cyberpunk run verified. From Psycho Volpes, we've got $2, no comment. Thank you so much for that donation. And Green Ham tossing $20 our way. T's in chat for trans rights. Let's see them.
I wonder if that means we're going to see at least one checkmark, and which checkmark it'll end up being.
All right, I'm gonna pick up this fairy, and I'm actually gonna put in a bottle, and that's for a trick later on in the run.
It always made me laugh when I was younger, using dash while having this lady follow you. Like, she is so fast. How can she go so fast? She doesn't even have the boots.
Yeah. So she actually wants to leap. She wants us to take us out to the end of the from the dungeon. But if you actually take her out of the dungeon, she doesn't want to go that way. I wonder what's up with that.
What could possibly be the reason? I wonder. The joke here, chat, is that I know the answer, but I'm not telling you.
Oh, I hear boss music. What is this? Oh my god, it's blind.
The light, it burns.
Unfortunately, this isn't rando, so we don't get a cool pun, but yeah. You want cool puns, or every time you fight blind and rando, you get a random pun.
Okay.
So blind is a scripted fight.
Yeah, very easy. If you remember playing this game, this fight is very chaotic. But if you know, if you have the consistent results for this fight, it is actually not as hard as maybe a casual player would fight this fight.
Yeah, there's like no actual RNG in this fight technically. Like, as you do the same actions the same way every time, the fight will go the same way every time. So there's a blind script you can run through and make it like take no damage perfect every time.
Yeah, very well done so far.
Very nice, yes. And
Yeah,
a couple more donations coming in here. We've got Rubicante donating $4, $1 for every dig and chest game attempt, which now brings me to 69. Nice. Total for the entire marathon. Love you all and have loved hanging out for the entire weekend. Psycho Volpez with $5 in. Question for the runner. How does the GBA version change the speedrun? That's the version I played as a kid.
It's pretty identical in terms of gameplay. However, the text is much faster, and the screen transitions are also much faster. So it is a much faster run. But most people usually play on the Super Nintendo version because a lot of people don't really like how the GBA version looks and also how it sounds. So there's your answer.
To dial it back for a second, I hear the number 69 and I have to press the button. That is all. That item slide. It looks so goofy and I love it.
Item dash is amazing. Yeah.
So with the Titansmiths, from Thieves Town, we can pick up the dark stone rocks that are in the overworld, and we save this guy who's a dwarf in the light world, and we take him back to the smith shop, and this opens access to our next sword upgrade. So it's this sword upgrade is so good that even in the any percent category, we pick this sword upgrade up.
Yeah, I believe the level of damage that it gives you is more than double, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong on that, though.
So the damage charts in this game are really weird, but generally you can a lot of things is doubled. In some applications, it's way more than doubled. Like, for instance, the Ganon fight at the very end, it saves so much time compared to Master Sword.
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking of. Gotcha.
Yeah, in general, these sword upgrades just increase, like just gives you one extra base damage, and it adds up significantly. So right here, we wake up this Mad Batter, who he says he's going to curse us with the half magic. And what that means is any item that I use that consumes magic is I use half of the magic.
Yeah, so you might get confused at first and think, oh, my magic bar has been halved. Now I only have half the amount, but that's not actually the case. It's been doubled. So, you know, if you ever got bamboozled by that as a kid, you're not alone, because I also did.
All right, so this purple chest, I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way over to this guy who used to be a thief, and he's going to give us our next bottle. There are 4 bottles. We got 2 of them already. We're about to get the 3rd one, and there's a bit of a cool little trick that hopefully I can get. Oh, okay, so if I use the frame after I say yes on that option, then I can activate I can use the flute. But I didn't get it, but that's all right. I only lose about a couple seconds. So now we're about to head to the next dungeon, which is called Skull Woods. It's the 3rd Dark World dungeon, and this is going to be our 3rd Dark World dungeon, so I guess we are going in order in that regard.
It just happens to work out that the game's intended way to go through is you still end up doing this as the 3rd Dark World dungeon. So,
yeah,
convenient in that regard.
Yeah, thanks so much for the raid. Just wanted to let you know that throughout our marathon, we're welcoming donations of all sizes in support of Trans Lifeline. You don't have to make a big donation to make a big impact. Just $25 connects one person in need to the Trans Lifeline peer support hotline. Even a $5 donation, when combined with 4 other people donating the same $5, can have a meaningful impact on someone's life. Please consider donating now by typing !donate in the chat, and let your friends know how they can help as well.
Skullwoods is a complicated dungeon. There's several ways to enter this dungeon, and the intention is that that it's supposed to trick you into getting lost. Fortunately, I know the fastest way through this dungeon, so I'm not going to really get lost. And so coming up is another bomb jump. It saves having to enter this, getting this chest a different way.
Yeah, it wants you to drop down. There's a hole in the middle of that 3x3 bushes, just like you saw in the light world. It wants you to drop down and go to the big chest from the back. But yeah, bomb jumps will just get us right there.
Yep. So now that we got the item of the dungeon, which is the fire rod, now we just gotta go ahead and go and just complete the dungeon.
Yeah, and conveniently we didn't have to do a bomb jump back over the gap because when you enter a void, a hole like that, it just respawns you where you entered the room. So thankfully, just a little bit of time save there, not having to set up another bomb jump. I gotta watch out for the wall masters. If those grab you, they will take you back to the start of the dungeon. And while it's fairly easy to avoid overall, sometimes if you're just not necessarily paying attention or your movement's slightly off, you can get grabbed, and it can really suck if it happens at the wrong time.
One of the nice things about having Tempered Sword is if there's a wall master falling above you, you can actually just slash upward at it and get it before it hits you.
You sort of saw that there where the dash hit the wall master as it was coming down, which takes it out. And yeah, very, very good thing to point out there for sure.
All right, so coming out as Mothula, let's see how this goes. This can either go really well or really wrong, and there's no in between.
Here we go.
There we go. That was really good.
Excellent, Moth. Let's go.
So that was really fast, and so what you want to slash Mothula in a specific way, because if you hit Mothula while he's over spikes, he actually takes 0 damage. So if you remember playing this game and you fighting this fight might have taken lots of hits, then yeah, he takes 0 damage. So you want to hit him in a way where he's not hovering over spikes. So
I think
the spike can either.
I think GBA fixes that.
Yes, GBA fixes that. So there's a different strat that you do in the GBA version where you can set up a double spin, and you can just finish the fight within a few seconds.
Yeah, and the funny thing about having Tempered Sword actually is if you do a spin on Mothula, it upgrades it to Gold Sword damage, which is the same damage class as the spikes. So you don't actually want to spin with Tempered Sword on Moth.
Yeah.
We have a couple more donations coming in here. We've got Blaze with a $10 donation. Whoops, my finger slipped. Also, hi, Ferric. Well, hello, Blaze. I'm always happy to say hello to anybody that throws a donation our way. And Queedy sending $30 our way with the comment of trans rights. That donation, just like Blaze's, is towards the themed custom graffiti incentive that we currently have open for Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Not too much time left on that. We need to get that filled before the run takes off in a little less than an hour.
Yeah, so we do have a bonus any percent run at the ending of this run, which we'll be able to do immediately afterwards. It won't take long at all, but it does have a little bit of extra time, so it's not quite at the end of this run that incentive will close, but please make sure to get your donations in. Any amount helps. $1 times 50 people is $50, and that means a lot. So remember, get your donations in.
And you might think like, oh, this runs like a couple hours long. How can any percent be that much faster? The any percent in this game is a silly category that lets you do literally anything you want to get to the end of the game. It is very fast. You will be amused by it. I guarantee it.
Like most any percents, very amusing.
Yeah, you can keep going if you like.
Oh, happy to. So the Team Fastest First Community Showcase is back with monthly streams featuring amazing speedruns of all kinds for members of the Fastest First community. If you're a speedrunner interested in participating in a future showcase, please use the command !showcase in the chat to fill out an application today.
All right.
So we're gonna get flippers, which it costs 500 rupees again. It's very expensive. Our next dungeon that we're about to go to is Ice Palace, which you can fake flippers to Ice Palace, but it doesn't save time to fake flippers to Ice Palace, and you need flippers anyway in order to do a different dungeon.
Yeah, so ultimately, just much more convenient to grab them here since those 2 dungeons are still coming up, since you'll guaranteed need them for both. And yeah, as mentioned, doesn't really save time for that first dungeon.
Yeah.
All right, just curious though, how close are we to that stretch goal right now?
Let me take a look here. So that stretch goal, we're closing in on it. Or it looks like we're about $500 away right now. So
Yeah.
small donations from everybody is going to get us a little bit closer to that. We've got a little less than an hour to meet that stretch goal.
Everyone in chat donates $5 right now. We could nail it real easy.
Yeah, definitely keep your donations going. This is a great cause. All right, so here we are in Ice Palace, the 5th Dark World dungeon. In my opinion, one of my favorites. Normally, when people think of Ice Palace, they like dread it. It's a very dreadful dungeon. There's lots of ice physics, and there's a lot of puzzles, a lot of going around. But Ice Palace is actually a very short dungeon, featuring the biggest sequence break of the entire game.
Yeah, normally ice is a really convoluted dungeon that makes you do like a few laps through a large part of the lower part of the dungeon. Like you have to go down to get a thing and then go back up and go down to hit a switch and go. It's terrible. It's a slog. But we skip a large chunk of it, and that whole sequence of like manipulating the switch and pushing a block and all that by using what's called the Ice Palace bomb jump.
The item of the dungeon is blue mail, and we're not going to be picking it up at all.
Yeah, and so that goes back into the idea that you only need the highest tier upgrade. A dungeon later on will have the red mail for us, which is a stronger armor, and is the higher tier upgrade. So that will be the one that we will be picking up later on.
All right, so ooh, whoa, okay, so here coming up is the bomb jump. Let's do this. Oh my gosh. Please. One pixel off. All right, that should be good. There it is.
There we go.
All right.
Excellently done. So it took a few tries, like as mentioned. Sometimes bomb jumps can be pretty precise, and this is a huge sequence break. So even like 5 or 6 tries is still 100% worth to go for.
Yeah, and with this route, it's actually required because otherwise the other way requires the hook shot, which we don't have.
Correct. Yes, that is true.
There is another bomb jump we can use to get past the hookshot requirement, but it's definitely still slower than doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're looking for in that bomb jump is you have to get against the ledge. And you're looking for a specific number of blue pixels or light blue pixels, and then you want to have your sword out with 1 pixel between your sword and the bomb itself, and that's what you're looking for. And it can be often hard to get that little up and down motion to get the exact number of pixels you want.
Yeah. All right, so come up is Cold Stare, which is, since I don't have blue mail, it's a very scary fight. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah, contact damage here hits for 4 directly, I think it is. It's a lot. You do not want to touch the puffs.
There it is.
Nice.
So it takes 8 fire out shots to break the ice, and then 6 slashes. But but thanks to having half magic, I'm able to fit in a fire round shot in order to do extra damage on the last hit for each of the puffs.
Yeah, the puffs take immense damage from the fire rod compared to the temperature. So having any extra magic for that is a big help.
Yeah, great job on that. And as our viewers are thinking of queuing up their donations, I just want to let you know that for the first time ever, we're offering a grand prize to donors during the Fall Fest 2023. Anyone who donates $50 or more over the course of the entire marathon will be eligible to win a Nintendo Switch OLED console and a copy of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This prize bundle was funded through direct contributions from members of the Fastest Furs leadership team. Use the command !prizes in the chat for more details on all of our amazing prizes. And remember, trans rights are human rights.
Okay, so coming up is the scariest part of the run as far as dying is concerned. So I do have fairy, so it's not that bad. But I'm going to go through a cave with full of lots of spikes, and with 14 hearts, you can just barely get through with 1 heart remaining if I move correctly. So I'm going to request serious time as soon as I get to that cave, which is right now. So let's see how this goes. Nice.
Very well done. Yeah, the spike cave movement is extremely tight. It's just not much room for error in here, so you're relying on audio cues and everything. It's super tight. If you have the hook shot, you can actually do it in 12 hearts of damage. But yeah, without that, you have to have 14 hearts, and it just barely works.
Yeah.
Yeah, very excellently done. It can be extremely rough if even like a slight bit of movement is off. That's that extra heart done and dusted right there. So very well done to do that first try.
Yeah, and I did have a fairy in the off chance that didn't go well as well. So now that fairy that I picked up is going to be used as a safety.
And we do have a $10 donation coming in from Flux. Hello, I am one of the artists that worked on one of the shirts for this year's Fall Fest, and I just wanted to say that it has been a rewarding feeling being able to provide art for a fun event that raises money for a great cause. Good luck and have fun. And this just in. I found out that unlocking the custom graffiti, we might want to be a bunch of fastest furts? What would that mean? What's a fastest furt?
No clue. All right. So I guess if your photosensitivity warning just slightly, it's not too bad. But just in case. So fortunately, that heart piece I got allows us to refill our hearts, which is convenient because we want full HP going into this next dungeon, which is Misery Mire.
Yeah, the room we call Mire 2. If you want to have sword beams for it, it allows you to do the 1 cycle clear of the room. Otherwise, it's a lot slower.
And the sensitivity warning is over. That's it. All right. So yeah, Misery Mire, the 6th Dark World dungeon. In my opinion, my least favorite dungeon in the game. Lots of hard-hitting enemies because the intention of this dungeon is that you're supposed to complete Ice Palace, which I have, but I didn't get the blue mail at all from the dungeon. So the enemies here are going to hit pretty hard. Also, on top of that, the fastest way to beat the boss of this dungeon requires a lot of intentional damage.
Yeah, so routing in like 15 hearts at this point is almost imperative, sort of, for the like level of just difficulty and room for error that you have overall in this dungeon. Yeah, not getting the blue mail while faster 100% does just leave you that little bit more risky in this situation.
It is convenient that like routing this category, you end up with 15 hearts here, which is a nice bit of buffer. Because like this is again a late Dark World dungeon. Some enemies are going to be hitting you for up to 4 hearts of damage. It's a lot.
Yeah, and at 15 hearts, 4 hearts of damage is, it's a ridiculous amount. You are going to be like 4 or 5 shot by that. So
exactly.
And this just in, we've got a donation from Sporadic Erratic of $100. Let's get that graffiti. I heckin' want to see it. I bet you do too. Let's go!
Yeah, I think NMG gets here with 12 hearts, so like you literally just take 3 hits of 4 heart damage and you're dead. So 15 ends up being a lot more actually in terms of that.
Yeah, you get 1 extra hit worth of it for that. And that 1 hit goes a long way, genuinely, in terms of safety, but it's still not that much extra wiggle room.
Yeah, the boss of this dungeon coming up, Victorious. You'll notice a theme with this game. There are a lot of like eyeball bosses. This boss is no exception. There's going to be some acid on the floor that if you stand on it, you take 1 heart of damage. We're going to abuse that and use that to, instead of taking damage from the eyeballs directly, which would be like 3 or 4 hearts of damage, we're going to just use the acid to take 1 heart of damage, and then we have iframes so we can get in and do damage to the boss.
Taking advantage of those iframes will be important for making sure that the optimal damage that we can deal is done while staying as safe as we possibly can.
We have the dungeon item here, the Cane of Samaria. It makes blocks.
These blocks are great. They have all sorts of uses, like placing down a block on a switch, or placing down a block and then writing on it in a later dungeon. I love this item. It's an item that you never really see in other Zelda games. Very unique to Link to the Past overall, in terms of just how much useful use it actually has for something that is as simple as making a block.
It can actually be a really neat weapon in certain scenarios too. Like in Rando particularly, having quick swap enabled, being able to get to it whenever you want. You use that in a lot of situations, like climbing GT and whatnot for certain rooms. It's just really cool.
All right, so I am actually okay. Nice. So right there, you might notice a switch just hit, and that's because I just activated what's called a spooky minor glitch. I don't know the technical explanation about it, but basically the short terms, because it'll be very complicated to explain, is I manipulated the game's. Oh, what the heck? Okay, fine. I manipulate the game's IDs in a way where like the fire rod hitbox is extended to where I can just hit switches like off screen.
Yeah, it's the altitude variable. Which is controlled by a number of things, including the bird when you flute. So when you go to Meyer, when you route in here, you may have noticed he went underneath the rock when he fluted into 6. That sets the altitude variable to the favorable position to basically disjoint the fire rod splash damage northward, which allows you to do the spooky action.
All right, there it is.
Nice, Victorious. Very well done.
Yeah, I think that at 4 hearts is very spooky because, one wrong move and that's your entire rest of your health bar done there.
Yeah, and fortunately, since I got the Cane of Burna, I could, if the fight did go wrong, I could use the Cane of Burna in order to make myself invincible for the rest of the fight.
Yeah, and still have that fairy for backup as well, so have that safety net just in case, but don't need it here. mchan just playing it very well on all these bosses.
Yeah. Any percent doesn't have that luxury, so...
No, it doesn't. This category, routing, like getting victories here, you have so much more safety compared to NMG, yeah.
And we have a $50 donation coming in from Fox Nessa. So much hype. Amazing run on one of my favorite games of all time. That's going towards our stretch incentive. And a $25 donation from Blaze. Bomb Rush Cyber Furt? I don't think that's the incentive that we're going for, but we'll take it. Thank you so much for those donations. And just as a quick update, we are inches away from the halfway mark to our stretch goal of custom graffiti for Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Let's keep those donations coming.
All right, coming up is the hardest trick of the game. Let's see if I can get this. Wow, I got it! Oh my god, how did I do it?
Wow.
Impressive.
So if you use the mirror in any cave, then on a moving block in any cave area, then it just erases the block for some reason. We don't know why it works, but it works, and that's how we like it.
I'm normally pretty good with knowing the technical details of what makes this game so weird and cool, but I actually don't know that one either. It's while the block is a moving sprite, you can delete it with the mirror. That's all I know.
Delete! That's all you need to know.
Just don't try it in a dungeon. You will regret it.
Yeah, no.
That's what Firebird says. So do not try this trick in a dungeon.
Unless you're in like Cave State Pod, but that's a different category.
What if we showed off what happened in a dungeon? This is a bad idea. We will not be doing this, but what if? All right.
What if?
I have no clue.
All right, so we're getting the last medallion here. Again, these medallions have a variety of uses across the game. Like we used one to enter the previous dungeon that we just beated in Meyer. And we're going to be getting a couple more things here before we head on over to the next dungeon. And just, you're going to be taking advantage of all different manner of things.
The Bombos Medallion, unfortunately, does not directly open a dungeon. You can use it to enter Ice Palace, for instance. The first freezer in the Ice Palace lobby. If you don't have a fire rod, for instance, if you're doing a different route or playing random or something, you can actually use the Bombos Medallion to get in. And also, you can start the Cold Star fight using Bombos. It will break the ice.
Yeah. Other than that, it's an optional item, which makes me sad because it's a really cool item. I love you. It's one of my favorite items to use in a casual playthrough. But in a speedrun, because the animation takes so long to use it, it's just not worth using it at all.
It is twice as long as the other animations, which is sad because it's really powerful. It pretty much burns almost every enemy to death.
Yeah. All right, so this is Swamp Palace, which is normally supposed to be the second Dark World dungeon. So as a result, this is a bit of a breather dungeon. You're not going to die, but this dungeon is... I remember somebody saying that this dungeon is a dungeon of 1,000 paper cuts, and that's because, again, you're not going to die, but optimization is just... You're going to lose quite a bit of time from, subtle movement or just enemy RNG.
There's a ton of RNG reading you have to do in Swamp. Like the berries, the little jellyfish, they move around, they're kind of slow, but they are very random. And there are a lot of fireball shooter statues too that you have to react to. And some of them are absolute snipers. Like if you try to do a room what you think might be the optimal way, no, they will lead their shot and hit you in a way you're like, oh, they're actually just really good.
Yeah. So donations or announcements are fine for this first half of the dungeon.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Run's going great. We have a donation from Psycho Volpes of $5. It's not 100% unless you visit Chris Houlihan. Okay. And as far as the incentives are concerned, I have to take a quick peek here. We are actually over the halfway mark to our stretch incentive for Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. The custom graffiti, we've gotten a couple hints so far, one that is going to make us verified, one that is something about being fastest first. I'm really excited to see that custom graffiti. Just a couple more $100 will get us there.
I believe in fastest first. I think we can do it.
Also want to extend a
Can we
special
change
shout
the
out
logo on the layout to be fastest first?
I don't know about that. We would like to extend a special shout out to Fastest Furs leadership team members Sarth and Rodham for their hard work on their creation of Cheetah, a new donation tracker and marathon management system. The marathon simply would not be possible without their efforts. I'm using Cheetah right now, and it is just going fantastic. So thank you for that.
You guys are awesome. Seriously, I cannot say enough how much good work they've done.
Yeah, the Fastest First team as a whole has done fantastic this event. Not just from the Cheetah. I've heard great things about the Cheetah from the host. They seem to all love it. But also, I ask a question, I get an answer within minutes, constantly, and they're super on point with making sure everything's ready to go and always willing to help out. So very, y'all are great. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is a fantastic community. I'm very happy to be part of it for the past couple of years that I've been a part of this event.
Thank you so much for that. And we do have a donation from Jamie VX, $25 coming in saying, been enjoying the runs all weekend. Thank you for putting on a great event for such a great cause. Trans rights are human rights.
Damn right.
And a $25 donation from Bursic. Bork Rough Checkfurt. I think I got that right. Bork Rough Checkfurt. Somebody can translate that for me.
That sounds about right, yeah. So here's the hook shot. Is my favorite item in the game.
Yeah, it's a really cool item. So you can, as you can see, you can hook across gaps. So it's a very, very good item, especially in overworld traveling.
Yeah, and as mentioned, this is meant to be the second dungeon. So a lot of the other dungeons we've been going through, you're expected to have the hook shot for a lot of those puzzles, but it just ends up being faster to route this dungeon in this late on into the run versus early. So we do have to do those things to get around the hook shot requirements in other places, such as the bomb jumps.
Yep.
But of course, now that we have it, we don't have to worry about that anymore. And anytime we have those gaps that are meant to be crossed with a hook shot, then just absolutely get across, no problem whatsoever. Ugh, that hidden door, man. That thing stumped me for at least like
Nope.
5 hours.
The waterfall door, yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
It's very hidden. If the
Alright,
only
so
clue
we're
you get,
approaching
go
Argus, and there's a strat called the Zero Cycle. I'm not going to go for it. It's insanely hard.
Zero
Essentially,
Cycle is so tough.
You set up an item dash with the hook shot, and then you can defeat the puffballs really fast. But in order to defeat all the puffballs within 0 cycles, and the 0 cycle is this move right here. If you don't see this move, then you got the 0 cycle. Since I'm not doing that strat, the best situation is 1 cycle. Even if you do the 0 cycle strat, it's still random whether you get it or not, because Argus can just straight up charge at you, and then you just lose your chance at getting the 0 cycle anyway.
Argus has, what, I think 3 move speeds, and if Argus just goes fast at you, you just don't have a chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And your Zero Cycles requires like this insanely perfect rhythm to get. It's really difficult.
Yeah, and it saves 6 seconds if you can get it really well. But aside from that, this is a really easy fight.
Yep. Another boss just dealt with just like that. And there's a couple of cases of just eating damage. Of course, coming here with 16 hearts this late into the game, you've got enough knowing full well that this is like more of a paper cut dungeon at this point, that you can tank any and all hits. You can just sit in the optimal spot and deal your damage that you need to. Excellently done again from mchan. Destroying these bosses, almost no issues whatsoever.
We got 1 crystal left to get.
Yep, one more crystal. And so this is another stretch with another long stretch without doing a dungeon. We're gonna be collecting pretty much the rest of the items of the game. So there's about a couple things to talk about during this cleanup. One major trick in particular called the bomb duplication. So, but that's not going to be for a little bit. So if you have maybe one or two things that are like really quick that you want to talk about, then this would be a pretty good time.
Sure, thanks so much for that. Did you know that the Fastest Furs Fall Fest 2023 is our 10th charity marathon as a speedrunning group? Time really does fly, just like our runners. If you want to catch up on our past events, the Team Fastest Furs YouTube page contains a playlist from each marathon, and videos from this marathon will be added shortly after the event has concluded. Get subscribed now by using the command !YouTube in chat and following the link.
Yeah. And just make sure that everyone is aware, the Bomb Rush Cyberpunk incentive for that custom graffiti must be met by the start of that run, which is going to be somewhere within the ballpark of around 30 minutes, give or take 10 or so. So we've gotten more than halfway there in about that amount of time, so we can definitely get the rest of the way that way there in the amount of time we have left. Get your donations in, chat. I believe in you.
All right, so coming up is the bomb duplication trick. So for completing Ice Palace and Misery Mire, then the bomb shop, which is Link's House in Dark World, will have a big bomb. It costs 100 rupees, and you're supposed to take it to the castle, which but there's a quicker way that I'm going to do it called the bomb duplication. If I let the bomb explode on at the same time that I screen transition, then I keep the bomb into the next screen.
You normally have to go all the way up and around through the hammer pegs again. Nicely done. Nicely done. This is actually surprisingly consistent.
Yeah, this method is surprisingly is very, very consistent. There is a much harder way of going about with it, and it saves a little bit more time, but very risky to do, especially since I had like 100 rupees.
Yeah, you don't want to drop it, because then you have to go find rupees to do it again.
Exactly.
What is your backup rupees for that, actually?
So earlier I picked up a red rupee chest right next to the heart piece to enter Misery Mire. There's a few different backup options. Like there's also another 20 rupee chest in Swamp Palace that I didn't have to pick up right by the waterfall room if I needed rupees there. And then if I was really short, the Moldworm Cave in Lake Hylia.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of money down there in Mini Moldorm. Yeah, so we're upgrading our sword and our bow here to get the most powerful equipment.
Yeah, so we're the silver arrows do more damage than regular arrows, and then the gold sword will significantly increase our damage. Now, normally You do need the silver arrows in order to beat the game, but there is a way to beat the game without silver arrows, but it's 100%, so we get the silver arrows anyway.
Yeah, you see Silverless Ganon in NMG primarily, which you end up with Tempered Sword and not the silver arrows. So, yeah.
All right, but from here on out, it's just me collecting items, so you're good for more donations or announcements.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. We do have another donation from Psycho Volpes of $2. Remember, everyone, it's only money. Donate if you can. And we are getting closer to meeting that stretch incentive for Bomb Rush Cyber Furt or Cyber Funk, depending on what your preference is. We're already halfway there, and we're already halfway through this run, so a limited amount of time to donate to that stretch incentive, which Bomb Rush Cyber Funk will be running after this game. And other than that, mchan's having a fantastic run. Hope everybody's enjoying their time, and don't be afraid to donate whatever small amount that you can to reach that incentive.
So yeah, as we're running through the overworld here and picking up like the remaining items that we have, you'll definitely notice that there's a lot of transitioning back and forth between the dark world and the light world. And this is largely due to the fact that terrain can be different in some of these locations, but also the fact that like sometimes it's faster to navigate through a specific section in like the dark world. For example, like maybe in the light world, there's 2 rocks in the way you need to get rid of that take a bit to pick up versus only 1 in the light world. So remembering all these locations of, you know, this is where you go to the light world, this is where you go to the dark world, and all that stuff can be difficult at first to remember, but mchan, tons of experience here, everything off the top of his head, no problem whatsoever. Don't even have to think about it at all. It's just ingrained in the memory at this point. Very, very smooth routing through this section here.
And we've got a $20 donation coming in from Mr. Kirby himself, Mr. Shasta, saying trans rights are human rights. Let's get Bomb Rush Cyberfunk met.
All right. So yeah, still cleaning up the items here as we're progressing through. So how much do we have left? I believe there's 3 heart pieces remaining, 1 heart container, and a couple more items like the red armor left to go, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, so I just picked up that heart piece. And then I gotta get the ice rod, and then I'll be on my way to Death Mountain.
All right, the ice rod. Yeah, don't forget that. We're going to need that.
Yeah, that's it's a really it's sometimes easy to miss because it's just so far out of the way, but it is a required item.
At some point, you just have to remember, I got a flute 8 and go get the ice rod. Just don't forget it.
Yeah.
I can see that being
very long time ago. I did have a run where it was a really good run, make it all the way to the end of Turtle Rock, and don't have the ice rod.
Realize you forget it, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
All I can imagine is, oh no, Knuckles
Yeah.
oh no.mp3 playing in your head at that point. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Alright, but yeah, now we're going to go to Death Mountain. So, the other way to activate super speed is using the hook shot, by item dashing with the hook shot, and there we go, I got super speed right away. It's much easier to set up than the spin speed method.
Yeah, as long as you can hit 2 buttons on the same frame, you're good to go. Which can be surprisingly difficult sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, and you know, it comes down to the fact that, you know, if a game runs at 60 FPS and you have like a 3 millisecond delay on pressing one button and the other button, and they have to be pressed on the same frame, sometimes that 3 millisecond delay, which is shorter than you can even see in like a 60 FPS situation, is enough for one input to land on one frame and the other input to land on the other, and you just don't get the trick. So it's very helpful to train your inputs to make sure that they are registered on the same frame as much as you possibly can to avoid situations like that.
Alright, so now we're going to enter Turtle Rock, the 7th dungeon, not to be confused with Turtle Rock from Link's Awakening, or even A Link Between Worlds, but Turtle Rock and Link to the Past.
Correct me if I'm wrong, isn't there another change in the GBA version that puts a flute spot up here?
Yes, actually. When you activate that warp point, then you get a warping point there. But when you get to this point, you have no reason to really go back anywhere and then float back.
Yeah, so this is where I mentioned earlier the rod that creates blocks can make platforms that you ride along through this part of the dungeon. So if you don't have the half magic upgrade here, you can run out of magic very, very quickly in this dungeon because of that.
Yeah.
So,
The hint tile at the entrance even like suggests that you have like extra magic in bottles, I think, or something like that.
that is very, very easy if you're not paying attention to your magic to run out of it here. So, on a casual playthrough, 100% recommend at least one of your bottles is a magic refill for you. Bare minimum.
Alright, so here's Pokies. Pokies hurt a lot if you get hit by them. But then also the room after that are the Chain Chomps. And they also hurt a lot. And they move randomly. Oh my gosh.
Don't get
Move,
chomped.
move,
Please don't
move,
get chomped.
move. Oh my gosh. Grab the key. Grab the key. I'm out of here.
That was some very slick maneuvering. Very, very slick maneuvering.
Yeah, these chomps bite for 4 hearts. You do not want to get touched by them, ideally.
Yeah, so this dungeon's navigation is a lot of remembering both the pathways that the blocks travel along, as well as like the pathways that each of these tunnels go along. And there's a lot of auto-scrollery elements to it as a result, where you have some influence on how fast you go, but a lot of cases you're just waiting for the speed in which you're already traveling to finish up to get to the place where you need to go, and then be able to progress forward.
Yeah, so that was another room with Pokies. Pokies move randomly. There's like 4 different patterns that runners tend to memorize in order to know what strats to do with these Poke rooms.
Those anti-fairies were creeping up on you there. Very, very spooky. Yeah, so the item of this dungeon, well, not so much the item of this dungeon, but an item that helps in this dungeon is the mirror shield at a specific point of it, because later in this dungeon, there's going to be a pathway that, well, example is this room, these eyeballs shoot these lasers out. The mirror shield will actually be able to fully deflect the damage from those eyeballs if you're facing them. So the mirror shield, when acquired, helps out a lot for this dungeon.
You get it just in time to be faced with a bridge of lasers, which we call laser bridge.
Yeah, it's not required, but it does help. There's also another shield upgrade called the red shield, and we skipped that because obviously we're gonna get the mirror shield in this dungeon.
Yeah, again, goes back to the whole thing where only the highest tier upgrade of each item in particular is required for the 100% category. And here we are. That is the mirror shield.
Yeah, so now we just gotta go through the rest of the dungeon. I'm gonna do something really cool here, and that is that I'm gonna get the iframes from the pegs, and then I'm gonna bonk on that block in order to just get over that roller.
Oh, it looks so smooth, taking no damage in that room.
It's a really neat strat for this room, yeah. It's pretty tight on timing, but yeah.
Yeah. And then this room is a pretty complicated room, but if you know the path, then it's not too bad.
The path is like memorizable to the point where you can do it in the dark, no problem. So you're just holding a few directions at certain points, and you can always know where you are based on like where you can see where the fire bars are.
Yeah. And so coming up is the laser bridge. Again, and like they said, normally the mirror shield is required, which I will use the mirror shield, and it just makes it easier. There's a different strat in the any percent category where you try to just go past the lasers, which is a little bit harder to do.
Yeah, the lasers are actually pretty thin. Like there are a couple pixels of lenience. You can stand on the walkways without getting hit by them, and you can like dash through it or just time walk through it and get through to get to the key.
Yeah, of course, getting hit by it, though, means a knockback, and depending on the direction of that knockback, means you're falling off all the way back to the start of that room, so any void out there is going to be costly a bit in terms of time.
And you will take several damage in the process, too. Those lasers hurt a lot.
Yeah. So this is Trinex. Ice Rod on the red head and the Fire Rod on the blue head. They take 3 hits with the gold sword, and then after both heads are defeated, now we have the main fight itself, Trinex. Again, which also takes 3 hits to beat.
There's a key thing yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm done.
I was saying there's a key thing to remember, like when like a boss is exploding, you actually can't like use your menu, so you got to make sure to get your ice rod swap in before you or the fire rod swap in before you kill the firehead.
Yeah, and the Game Boy Advance version, this fight is a little bit harder because you actually cannot use your item while a boss is exploding.
Oh, I forgot that. Wow, that's a heck of a change.
Yeah. So like boss like Lanmola's or this fight, like they're both harder.
Jeez, okay.
All right.
We finally rescued Zelda.
Yeah, that is the final dungeon all done here, or at least the final crystal dungeon finished up here. We have a little bit left to go in the run here, folks. We do have, again, the bonus 80% run following this as well, so stay tuned for that as well. But this would be a fantastic time for some messages, I believe.
Yeah, great boss fight. This is just such an entertaining run. Really enjoying watching this. We do have a donation from Anonymous. $50 towards the stretch goal. Comment is Fert. Fert seems to be a popular one. Who is this Fert fellow anyway? So looking at the incentive for Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, we do have a custom graffiti incentive that is going to be fastest first themed. We are well over the 50% mark to that goal. We probably only have about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes to meet that goal because it does have to be met before we start the run. So if you were thinking about donating, feel free to donate now. And just a reminder, we do have a grand prize this year. Anybody who donates $50 or more over the course of the marathon will be eligible to win a Nintendo Switch OLED console and a copy of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
That's the final heart piece. Now we have all 20 hearts, and now it's time to go to Ganon's Tower. Ganon's Tower is a very execution-based dungeon. It's similar to how Castle Dungeon works, where it's essentially a gauntlet of going through enemies. And so this is Ganon's Tower takes that to a whole nother level. I'm going to be focusing a lot, so my commentators are going to be doing most of the commentary as we go through the dungeon.
Yeah. So part of the gauntlet as well is going to be refighting a few bosses through here. And, you know, in some cases they will be easier because of the increased amount of items and more damage and everything that we get during this. But in other cases, they might be a little bit more difficult because of just slight changes to them. I could be wrong on that. I could be remembering something else instead. There's a lot of things to pay attention to in this dungeon. You know, you got to make use of more or less every item that you get at some point or another in order to properly execute it. You know, taking advantage of the blocks here to hit things while you're delayed, taking advantage of the hook shot to get across rooms quickly or get over gaps. You got to take advantage of more or less every tool in your arsenal to get through this very quickly, and so far so good in terms of the execution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the GT basement is like a big, excuse me, like a big puzzle gauntlet. You're trying to find the big key so you can climb the tower, and it's hidden somewhere. And there are a ton of chests down here. It could be any of them, you don't know. And you have to use, like you said, all your items to get through this and figure out where it is. And then as we climb the tower, it turns into much more like a combat execution gauntlet.
Yeah, so coming up is Ice Armos, and the floor is is icy, so you're going to be slipping around, but with silver arrows. The Armos Knights go down one hit.
Yeah, the silver arrows are coded to do 99 damage to them. I think the Armos have like 64 hit points. So yeah, they just go they get destroyed.
Yeah, the harder aspect of this fight, of course, being the ice floor, but those silver arrows just trivialize the entire fight. One for each, and you're already done and dusted. Moving on to the next part. All right, big key obtained at that point. I gotta make sure you go the right way there. Not naming names, Fluffy, but some people go the wrong way and forget about it sometimes.
So how difficult are the ice physics in this game? Is it something that's pretty easy to work with, or is it pretty random?
It's kind of obnoxious. And actually, the interesting thing about this game, it has 2 levels of ice. You might notice some of the ice floors are kind of like extra sparkly. That's like advanced ice. It is worse to move on.
Oh no, okay.
And yeah, that room at the bottom there, the ice Armos fight, is on like the level 2 ice, whatever you want to call it. It just takes longer to like get up to like walking speed, and you retain so much more momentum. So trying to push against your momentum, it's nearly impossible to control well.
Yeah, in the middle of that, we ended up picking up the red mail, which, as mentioned, is a stronger mail than the blue mail. It's actually 4 times better than the base green mail that you start with, meaning that those enemies that would be dealing like 4 hearts of damage to us are now actually going to be dealing 1 damage, which means with 20 hearts, we're very safe. We can use damage boost strats anywhere we actually need them for, and it doesn't matter if we take a hit here or a hit there. It's not going to be nearly as punishing as if we continue through this dungeon without it.
Again, like the very end boss here, I think if you touch him with green mail, you get what we call a Ganon hug. You take 8 hearts of damage on green, which is what NMG has to face if you give him a hug. I think on red it's only 4.
Yeah,
maybe even 2. No, I think it's 864. Yeah, their damage tables are a little bit weird. Like they did a lot of like, it's not just like, oh, cut it in half again. Like there's a lot of just like, oh, this enemy does this specific damage to this color of armor. Like they did a lot of that in this game.
Yeah, in a lot of cases you can divide it just as evenly. Like if it does 4 hearts, then red mail will only do 1 type of deal. But yeah, Ganon is one of those cases where it does have a unique table, and as a similar example, in Ocarina of Time, the Flare Dancers in the Fire Temple, for whatever reason, use a damage table that makes them take double damage from Master Sword and actually less damage from the Big Goron Sword, where those 2 things are usually reversed. So there's cases like that in other Zelda games, as there are in this one.
And Landmo still got us with a 2 cycle. You see the silver arrows also kill Lambos in 1 hit, but sometimes they just don't go the direction you're anticipating, and they get away from you.
And super excited to see all these donations coming in. People are understanding that there's not too much time left in this run. We've got a $25 donation from Flap saying, well, Zelda is cool. Yes, Zelda is very cool. Thank you for that donation. And a $77 donation from Radicoon. I know I'm late, but big shout outs to Savage Wizrobe for a fantastic map randomizer run. Commentary has been absolutely wild overall today. Keep it up. And another $5 donation from Psycho Volpe saying scientific proof Link's Awakening is better than A Link to the Past. Link's Awakening has an entire village of furries. So we are creeping in on that incentive. It feels like it's just a matter of time before we meet that. A couple more donations and we should be able to meet the stretch goal for custom graffiti in Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
And the end of this one's coming up fast. We're on the second to last floor of this tower, so we're almost at the top. We're going to fight some more wizards.
So this is Moldorm. More room to fight, so it's a little bit easier. Also, since we have the gold sword, he goes down in 2 hits.
Yeah, there's no annoying hole in the center of the arena that you have to pay attention to as well. Still annoying overall for sure, but not nearly as bad when you don't have to hit him nearly as many times.
And you don't also have an orange phase either.
And there's another trick that some runners do in order to skip the fight, hovering. It saves 6 seconds if you get it first try, but loses way more if you fail it. Or in Game Boy Advance, it's a bomb jump.
All right, and we are in Aghanim 2 at this point. So there's going to be multiple orbs coming from both the clones, but only the more nice double hit on that one there. Only the more Opaque? Opaque. Only the more opaque one is damageable in this situation, so you want to be trying to position yourself that any and all of these orbs that are being fired will go and hit the opaque Aghanim here.
And this fight is turbo random. You kind of just have to react to how the triangles go. Like, you can play this game hundreds of times. You're going to see different patterns every run.
Yeah, unfortunate, but yeah, what can you do? It's a very hard fight.
Yeah, he's got to make the best of it. Like, it's not like super damaging. It's just really hard to do fast.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do this fight in 2 cycles, but it's also random because on the second cycle you can just shoot a blue ball.
You may not even have a chance to, depending on where the lineups are, you may not have a choice of whether you can even get a double triple. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so coming up is Ganon. Pretty straightforward fight in 100%, but there's still quite a bit to talk about, so I'll let you guys take care of that.
So Ganon has 4 cycles. The first cycle, he's gonna throw the trident at it and kind of charge at us. The damage we need to deal is 6 hits in cycles 1 and 2 with the gold sword, 4 in cycle 3, and then 4 in phase 4 with 4 silver arrow shots. Well, depending on how many silvers you get per hit. The second phase is typically kind of the scariest because these fire bats can be real tricky to dodge. He makes the circle go out and then it comes back and then they fly at you. You need just 6 hits in the middle of that to get him into phase 3. Phase 3, you can hit him a lot of extra times, but you have to hit him basically 1 time to make him stomp the floor, and to do that 4 times to progress to phase 4.
And he can warp randomly, which loses time.
He can warp as many times as he wants. This is actually technically like more coin flips. He can technically never stop. There's a great clip of Andy having a rando run in which he had Ganon warp 37 times in a row. The title of that video is just 37.
Yeah, it is unlikely for that to happen, but it's just one of those cases where you can't ever just imagine.
Right.
He's going to
Time's
stop.
coming up. Time.
Well done.
150-53. I'm really happy with that run.
Yeah, that
good
is
RNG, good execution. Happy with basically most of the things that I was able to pull off. So, yeah, really happy with that run.
Yeah, that's just over 2 minutes or so from your PB. Yeah.
Yeah, my PB is 148.57.
Yeah, that is very, for a game that's as RNG heavy as Link to the Past, that is extremely good to be that close to your PB in a marathon run. Excellently done, mchan.
Yeah, especially with 100%, where there's a lot that can happen. But yeah, so that was 100%. This is easily one of my favorite categories, mainly because of my completionist mindset. I always love 100% categories and most speedruns. So this category is the category that I focus on the most out of all the categories in this game. There are a lot of categories if for anybody's tastes, if anybody's interested in getting into this game. There's a lot of resources for a lot of different categories. So we're always happy to help out anybody who's interested in getting into this game. But yeah, so are we good to do the any percent run?
Do the opposite of the 100%.
Are we good to set that up?
Yep, I think if you want to go ahead and get that set up, we'll be good to go.
All right.
Yeah, so you just witnessed a 2-hour some odd estimate, like an hour and 50-minute run. Prepare to have your expectations of how long the run was completely blown away by what you're about to see, because it is any percent in this game is very different.
If you prefer a shorter run, is what you're saying.
Also,
Yeah.
very little time left to get in your donations for that incentive for custom graffiti in Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, ladies and gentlemen. So close to that right now.
We've got the Wayfaring Fox coming in with $50 donation. This is my last donation for the marathon. GG's, and this run had some real good luck. Guys, let's see how close we are to the incentive. We are within $6 of opening up custom graffiti for Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Let's do it.
All right, so first off, thank you guys so much for meeting the any percent incentive for this run. For those who have never seen a run of this, there are several different ways of pulling this run off. And you can do this on any version. It's not version exclusive. You can do this on Switch, Wii VC, Wii U VC, any English version, etc., etc. It's a really nice little like party trick that you can do in order to show off to your friends. I'm not going to be doing the absolute fastest route for this run because it involves like tons of pixel perfect and frame perfect clips. Instead, I'm going to be doing a route where if you're just following along with the run, then you can do exactly what I'm doing. So,
and let me just break in before you get started here. I do want to announce with a $15 donation from Sevyot Yap Graffiti, we have met our stretch goal for the Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, which is going to immediately follow any percent. Congratulations, guys. Let's go.
All right. So what were you gonna say earlier?
I was gonna say it's a surprisingly accessible category, actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Anybody can pick this up. So, all right. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Ready for some magic. This is gonna be great.
All right. So once again, Zelda is telepathically communicating to us, saying that that wizard named Aghanim has taken over the castle. And we have to go to Hyrule Castle to save Zelda. The Seven Sages seal is gonna be broken soon. Uncle tells us to stay in bed, but I'm gonna say no to that.
Yeah,
I don't like going to bed.
We got better ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm going straight back to bed after this.
Yeah, so it's currently raining. Cold rain weather. Can't enter the front, so we gotta go through the secret entrance to the castle.
Yeah,
Fall down the well, and oh, what's this? Our uncle is already defeated. Well, so much for trying to save the world.
What a fool. Thinking he could do it when he's not name linked. Man, what are you thinking, man? You ain't the hero. We're the hero. So you
Alright, so now we got our sword, and now we're gonna go ahead and cut through the bushes, enter the castle, and let's see let's just try to save Zelda. But you know what? I don't feel like it. I'm gonna quit this run. Goodbye. Have a nice marathon, everybody.
Yeah. Seems about right. I mean, it's just difficult. It's just difficult, man. It's a hard run. Sometimes you just want to say, nope, I don't feel like it. See ya. And that's just how it goes.
Alright, so I gotta try not to get hit here. Otherwise, what I'm about to do is not gonna work.
Yeah, we've armed a specific state called EG, and it's gonna let us do it's gonna let us go places.
Yeah. So here's this blue soldier. Hello! Oh, he hit me! Oh, what's this? What the heck just happened?
It appears that the screen is scrolling on its own. What is going on here?
No clue.
Oh, I see. Was that a little bit of green in the wall that I just saw? What was that?
I don't know. You must be seeing things.
It's a bug. There's just a bug in there. You know, bugs in the walls.
Are you sure we don't need to reset? This looks kind of glitchy. I don't know.
I don't know.
Are you playing this game right? Have you played this game before? You know where you're going?
Yes.
I'll believe you. I'll believe you. It just this game's.
Oh, I hear boss music. What is this?
Who put this architecture in the castle like this? I don't know. I don't think they built it right.
Time.
There it is.
Wait, what? That's it?
That's it. Yep.
Wait, that's a kind of blink and you miss it run. Oh my god.
You just go to the Triforce room. Yep, that's it.
That's great.
Yeah, so it just ends up being the case that a lot of the opening palaces like map shares the map with like the boss room that you fight Ganon in that leads to the Triforce. So you can end up just moving out of bounds and navigating completely to the final room, and you reach the credits, which that counts. You did it. You beat the game. Good job.
Yeah.
Every dungeon and multi-entrance cave is all on the same underworld map, and if you know how to get between them, you can just navigate, and that's what we call exploration glitch.
Yeah, and if you watch the glitch categories of this game, we use that, we abuse that a lot in several other of the glitch categories as well, in order to like completely break the game in order to get stuff out of order. Yeah. So again, thank you guys so much for meeting this incentive. I had a lot of fun. I'm really happy with how both those runs went, and I'd like to thank Adalor and Lord Fluffy for hanging out with me on commentary.
Yeah,
It's
great
been
run.
a blast. Well done. Congratulations
Yeah.
again. Great runs.
Yeah, thank you. So if you'd like to know more about the game, we do have a Discord server. Everybody is always willing to help. We have lots of resources. And there's always a weekly race every Sunday. If there's a Sunday that you're free, that you want to do a race and hang out with the community, then we're always open. And the weekly races have always held strong since before I came into the community, which I've been a part of the community for 8 years at this point. They're a very strong and dedicated group of runners. I'm also going to be running this game again later next month at another marathon called Power Up with Pride. Some of you guys who watch this event might be familiar with that event, so I'll be participating in that event as well with this game. So I'll be continuing streaming this game for a while longer up until then. But aside from that, thank you, Fastest First, for letting me be a part of this community. I came into this community from other members from other marathons that I've been a part of, where they were promoting this event. And then I found out that people like me who aren't really much involved with the furry community that much can also participate. And you guys have definitely made me feel welcome in this community, and the people behind the scenes are also very friendly people. So if anybody watching this wants to be a part of this community, we are welcome to have you be a part of it.
Yeah. I'm going to quickly shout things out myself. Of course, I did the Final Fantasy XIV run earlier in this marathon. Once again, if you wanted to find me, you can find me on X/Twitter at LordFluffyX. You can find me on Blue Sky at LordFluffy, twitch.tv/LordFluffy. I will also be running at Power Up with Pride later this next month as well, which I will be doing. I believe I'm doing Titanfall for that. It could be another marathon. There's another marathon. Anyway, point being... yeah, this community is wonderful, as mchan has said.
Adler, you have something you want to say?
Oh, I don't know. I'm happy to be here again. I've been on Fast. I was what did I do the last? I was on Fastest First once or twice. I've done some hosting. I did a run a while back. I forget exactly what I played. I think.
All right.
It's been a bit, but yeah, you can find me on twitch.tv/Adler_Soul there. I do multi-worlds every week on Saturdays, and I do a lot of rando racing of Link to the Past too. If you don't know what multi-world is, come hang out with me on Saturday, and you can experience some other randomized magic.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Big thanks to mchan and his commentators, Adalor and Lord Fluffy, for that fantastic run of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Let's show these guys some love in the chat. Would really appreciate that. They did a great job.